After my wife's affair with her trainer nearly destroyed me, I fought back, exposed his crimes, and took him to court. But in the end, forgiveness was the hardest battle of all.
Her laughter at the party was louder than usual. Too bright to be innocent, a slinky Catwoman suit, a smirking trainer in the corner, and a sudden knot in my gut told me everything I feared was true. She thought I didn't see, but I noticed every glance, every secret text. Betrayal wasn't just in the bedroom, it was in the air we breathed that night. I didn't confront her then, I planned. Revenge isn't loud, it's precise, calculated. By the time her lover stood in handcuffs and she begged for mercy, it was too late. You play with fire and you burn. This is how it all unraveled. Before we begin, let me know where you're tuning in from down in the comments. And if you enjoy this story, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss our next tale. Ryan adjusted the crisp cuffs of his charcoal shirt while looking in the bedroom mirror, the black half mask perched on his temple. He'd chosen a Phantom of the Opera-inspired costume, subtle yet polished, exactly how he liked to present himself to the world. Heather sauntered over from her vanity. She was donning a snug, pitch-black Catwoman suit that hugged every curve. The mirror caught Ryan's faint smile, though it never reached his eyes. He'd been on edge all day, courtesy of too many strange signals from Heather. That slinky outfit looked just a tad too intentional. You sure you like it? She teased, turning her hips in a slow, exaggerated display. Too much or just enough? Looks fine, Ryan replied evenly. He wasn't in the mood to lavish her with compliments or question her choice. They'd agreed to go simple yet sexy for the Halloween party, and she'd gone all out. Let's just get going. Nick's text said they're about to start the costume contest. Heather shot him a quick, curious glance. He could sense her wanting more from him, a reaction, a playful remark, some trace of typical admiration. Instead, he turned away, picking up his wallet and keys from the dresser. They didn't talk much on the drive. The tension in the car was so thick it nearly fogged the windows. Heather fiddled with her phone, typing away with those polished burgundy nails. Ryan couldn't help noticing she was smiling at something, probably just a text from one of her girlfriends. He told himself. Still, a hollow ache settled in his chest. He didn't have concrete proof yet, but a gut feeling told him something was off. The suburban street was lined with a messy patchwork of parked cars, silhouettes of costumed guests drifting up the walkway toward Nick and Lucy's grand front porch. Lights glowed in flickers of orange and purple plastic, ghouls and jack-o'-lanterns dotting the steps. The moment Ryan and Heather stepped onto the driveway, Lucy popped out dressed as a flapper, complete with feathered headband and fringed dress. "Ryan, Heather," Lucy squealed, hugging them both in turn. "Get inside. Everyone's already asking where you are, Heather. That costume is insane, girl." Heather beamed, her face lighting up with pride. Ryan offered Lucy a polite smile, sliding a hand lightly around Heather's lower back. He might have been on alert, but he wasn't about to let her drift from sight tonight. Not with the suspicious vibes swirling in his head inside. The air smelled like cinnamon candles and spiced rum. It was a kaleidoscope of costumes, a neon skeleton dancing by the couch, a Cleopatra giggling near the punch bowl, and a group of devils and angels snapping selfies in the foyer. Nick, clearly proud of his lavish decor, strolled over in a crisp black suit. A skeleton mask was pushed up on top of his spiky hair, giving the impression he'd grown tired of wearing it. "Glad you guys made it," Nick said, offering Ryan a firm handshake. "We got a bar set up in the kitchen, if you want a real drink, or there's a mountain of seltzer in coolers. Whatever floats your boat." Heather offered a quick grin. "Definitely heading for the real drink," she joked. "I might need it." Nick's gaze flicked between them, perhaps noticing the tension, but he just nodded. "Kitchen's that way." Lucy made some fancy haunted cocktails, too. Ryan was about to guide Heather forward when he caught sight of Jason across the room. Tall, lean, but visibly muscular, Jason wore a leather jacket and dog tags, some half-baked military renegade costume, but that wasn't what made Ryan's hand tighten at Heather's waist. It was Jason's smirk when he spotted Heather, the way his eyes seemed to flick hungrily over her tight Catwoman suit. Ryan recognized that expression. He'd seen the same look on random men who would check her out at restaurants or malls. Ignorant that she was married, the difference was Jason sure as hell knew. Ryan forced a relaxed grin at Nick and steered Heather away. "Let's find those haunted cocktails, right?" Heather said. Her voice was slightly breathy, as though she'd also noticed Jason and was nervous. "Might be fun to try Lucy's concoctions." The kitchen bustled with costumed guests, mixing drinks and cracking jokes. Plastic spiders dangled from the chandelier. Some guys in superhero outfits argued about Marvel vs. DC. Typical Halloween banter. Ryan grabbed a tall glass from the counter and poured a swirl of rum over ice. Heather busied herself selecting a bright green potion labeled Witch's Brew. "Cheers," she said, clinking her glass gently to his. She took a long sip. Ryan only nodded. He scanned the room, clocking Jason standing by the far wall, talking to Lucy. He appeared to be glancing over at Heather again. Ryan's jaw clenched. He pressed the glass to his lips, letting the burn of rum calm him. Heather leaned closer, her free hand landing lightly on his forearm. "You okay?" She asked the questions, soft but laden with subtext. "Fine," Ryan lied, just taking it all in. She parted her lips to say more, but was interrupted by Lucy's voice cutting across the chatter, announcing the start of a silly costume contest. Heather exhaled, then offered him a half-smile as Lucy corralled them into the living room. The living room was packed. People squeezed onto couches or stood along the walls, cheering as each costume was called up. A flamboyant Elvis impersonator got top laughs while a dramatic Maleficent drew applause. Nick joked about awarding cheap novelty trophies. Ryan half listened, eyes occasionally darting toward Heather, who was chatting with Lucy. She was smiling that bright, easy smile, but every once in a while she'd glance around as if searching for someone. And sure enough, Jason hovered at the edge of the crowd, sipping a beer. "Next up," Lucy called, "we have Heather the Catwoman. Come on up, Heather." She stepped forward, strutting playfully, making a show of flicking her imaginary whip. Laughter rippled through the room. Jason clapped and whistled loud enough for Ryan to notice. Ryan found himself rolling his eyes. He forced a polite grin when Heather ended her little cat-like pose. A wave of warm pride mingled with a swirl of jealousy in Ryan's chest. He was proud to have such a striking wife, but that pride was overshadowed by the creeping sense that someone was intruding on his territory. "Damn," Nick muttered near Ryan's shoulder. "Heather's really rockin' that suit." Ryan gave a curt nod. "Yeah, she knows how to captivate a room." Nick didn't seem to catch the undercurrent in Ryan's tone. "So, hey, everything cool with you guys?" he asked softly, side-eyeing Ryan. "I noticed you seemed a little tense." Ryan shrugged. "We're good," he said, though his expression likely told a different story. After the costume, applause and jokes wound down. People dispersed again, scattering into smaller clusters. Ryan lingered by a table stacked with chips and dip. He was about to grab a handful of tortilla chips when Jason's voice surfaced behind him. "Hey, man," Jason said, sounding a little too casual. Ryan turned, the half-mask still perched over one eye, giving him a stoic look. "Hell of a party, right?" "Sure," Ryan replied curtly. He took in Jason's lean frame and cocky stance. The guy had that swagger about him that set Ryan's nerves on edge. Jason exhaled a short laugh. "So, Heather, looking good tonight. Bet you're proud." Ryan's gaze sharpened. "You're damned right I am." "Yeah, she's something else," Jason said, swirling his beer. "I mean, you got to admire how dedicated she is. Always in my training sessions, pushing her limits." He chuckled softly. "The woman's unstoppable." Ryan didn't like the sound of that. "She's mentioned your workouts," he said, voice low. "You do a good job, from what I hear." "Absolutely," Jason replied. "You should come by sometime. See how see how we do things." Ryan's jaw set. The innuendo was unmistakable. Before he could respond, Heather appeared at his elbow, lips curved into a polite smile. "Hey, you two," she said, voice light. What are you talking about? Just praising your dedication, Jason said with a grin that made Ryan's skin crawl. Heather's eyes darted from Jason to Ryan, reading the tension. She forced a laugh. Oh yeah, well, the sessions are intense, right? Ryan muttered, his tone clipped. Glad to hear you're pushing the boundaries. Jason flashed that arrogant smile again, raising his beer as if in a toast to boundaries. He said, then slid away, leaving them both in uneasy silence. Heather quickly changed the subject. Did you vote for best costume yet? Lucy's trying to finalize the tallies. Ryan couldn't hold back the suspicion threading through his voice. No, I'll handle that in a minute. Without waiting for a reply, he walked off toward the front of the house, leaving Heather standing there, her expression stuck somewhere between guilt and confusion. Ryan needed air. He slipped onto the porch, blinking under the glow of a fake cobweb-laden lantern. A crisp October breeze ruffled his hair and he let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. He scrolled through his phone aimlessly, half hoping for some distraction. Instead, he found himself glancing at old texts from Heather, her sweet messages from months ago, "Lil love you" notes or goofy selfies. These days, her phone was on lock, always face down. She'd grown more evasive, more secretive. A swirl of humiliating dread pooled in his stomach. The thought of his wife laughing intimately with that cocky trainer made his blood boil, but he refused to cause a scene without proof. Suddenly, the front door opened and Lucy stepped out. She folded her arms against the chill, her flapper fringe shimmying with every movement. You okay? She asked. I mean, you left kind of abruptly. Heather seemed a bit worried. Ryan forced a half smile. Yeah, I just needed a breath. Lucy took a moment, studying him. She hesitated. I don't want to pry, but if something's off, maybe you want to talk about it. He swallowed, then shook his head. I appreciate it, Lucy, but I'm all right. Just some personal stuff. I'll handle it. Lucy offered a supportive pat on his arm. All right, but Nick and I are here if you need anything. He nodded, grateful but not ready to share. Thanks, Lucy. She slipped back inside, leaving Ryan alone with the sharp fall air and his roiling questions. After a few moments, he decided to return indoors. If Heather noticed his brief exit, she didn't mention it. She was caught up in some conversation with Marissa, Jason's wife, near the punch table. Marissa was shorter, delicate, dressed in a sparkly princess gown. She seemed sweet, unassuming. Ryan gave her a quick nod as he passed Nick back in from across the room, offering Ryan a beer. He took it, accepting the momentary distraction, but kept an eye on Heather and Jason for a while. The party vibe resumed as normal. Music, laughter, random group photos, but the tension refused to fully subside. An hour and 2 beers later, Ryan found himself in the living room again, perched on the edge of the couch. Jason slid next to him, apparently tipsier than before. Ryan's initial impulse was to stand, but he resisted. Hey, buddy, Jason slurred, leaning uncomfortably close. Sorry if I came off strong earlier. He gave a lopsided grin. Heather, something special, you know, real special. Ryan's spine tensed. She is my wife, he stated, voice flat. Right, Jason exclaimed, waving his beer. And maybe you're, busy or stressed or not paying attention. I don't know, but she's definitely working out those issues with me. Ryan's heart hammered. What exactly are you implying? Jason blinked, then unleashed a smug chuckle. Dude, don't pretend you haven't noticed. She's riding me, training with me way beyond normal business hours. She needs more than your mild approach, my friend. A flush of fury swept through Ryan's entire body. The edges of his vision seemed to blur. He wanted to punch the guy's teeth in right there, but he clutched the couch cushion instead. You'd better watch your mouth, Ryan said. You're drunk, Jason shrugged, a lazy smirk on his lips. Sure I am, but that doesn't make me a liar. At that exact moment across the room, Heather and Marissa were talking in hushed tones. Ryan's gaze zeroed in on them. Heather's face was pale, eyes darting anxiously toward Jason. Marissa looked upset, arms crossed, shaking her head. Ryan couldn't hear their words, but it was clear something heated was being discussed. Suddenly, Heather pulled away from Marissa and stormed toward the kitchen. Jason snickered. The princess is mad. Guess they had a lover's quarrel. Women, he tossed back the last of his beer. Think I'll go see if your dear wife wants a top up, or maybe she wants something else. He rose, stumbling slightly, and headed out of the living room. Ryan set his bottle down, mind racing. He needed a moment to breathe, to think if he confronted them in front of everyone, it could explode. Yeah, that might be exactly what he needed. Expose them, corner them. He prowled after Jason, careful not to draw too much attention. He found them in the hallway leading toward the laundry room, partially hidden from the main bustle. Jason was leaning against the wall, Heather facing him with a mix of anger and exasperation. Ryan slowed, staying out of sight just around the corner. You said you wouldn't say anything, Heather hissed, arms folded. You promised. Jason scoffed. Relax. He's clueless anyway. Heather's voice trembled with panic. I told you, Ryan's not an idiot and you're acting reckless. Stop bragging. He placed a hand on her shoulder, leaning in. All right, but you got to calm down. If he was on to us, he would have said something by now. The guy's too polite for his own good. Ryan's stomach lurched, hearing them confirm it. Oh my God, how could they be so blatant? Heather let out a ragged sigh. We have to figure out how to handle this. I can't keep lying to him if I can't risk. Jason cut her off, voice dropping to a whisper. Heather, baby, you're the one who came to me with your complaints. You said Ryan's always too busy, too distracted. So we had our fun. Don't regret it now. She closed her eyes, pained. I shouldn't have done it. I've never cheated in my life. But now, a fierce wave of nausea rolled through Ryan. His pulse thundered in his ears. Jason's hand slid down Heather's arm. She didn't yank it away. That was enough. Breathing hard, Ryan stepped into the hallway. Gaze locked on them. Heather's eyes flew open. Jason jerked upright, half smirking as though he expected Ryan to stammer and walk away. But Ryan wasn't backing down. Not this time, Heather, Ryan said, voice shaking with anger. Care to repeat that? Her face went from startled to ashen. Ryan, it's not. Jason raised his hands in mock defense, a sneer on his lips. Hey, easy there, buddy. This is just between me and him. Shut your mouth. Ryan snapped, stepping closer. I'm done listening to your garbage from the nearby living room. Someone must have sensed the conflict because a hush seemed to spread. Curious faces peered around corners. Nick, Lucy, and a half-dozen other guests drifted near, forming an unintentional audience. Heather tried to grasp Ryan's arm. Please, just let me explain. He shook her off, glaring at Jason. You think you can brag about screwing my wife? Think I'd stand here and do nothing? Jason's drunk bravado flared. At least I'm giving her what she needs, man. Maybe if you weren't so wrapped up in your fancy job. Ryan's fist shot out, catching Jason square in the jaw. The impact echoed through the hallway. Gasps erupted. Jason staggered, crashing into the wall, eyes wide with shock. Heather screamed. Ryan, stop. She lunged forward, but Nick seized her from behind, pulling her back. Jason spat out blood, face twisted in anger. You son of a bitch, he snarled, wiping his lip. She came to me. Did you ever even ask her what she wants? Ryan took a step forward, fists clenched, but Nick threw himself between them, pressing a palm to Ryan's chest. Easy, man. Not here. Not now. The entire hallway crackled with tension. Lucy had her hands over her mouth, tears in her eyes. Marissa stood behind her, shell-shocked, whispering, Jason, what did you do? Heather's cheeks were wet, but Ryan couldn't gauge if it was guilt, fear, or regret. Probably all three. He felt raw, betrayed, consumed by the raging storm. Inside him, finally, Jason struggled upright, glaring at Ryan. This isn't over, he muttered, stumbling away toward the front door. Marissa followed, still reeling. Heather tried again to approach Ryan. I'm sorry, she choked out. I'm so sorry. Ryan's glare was ice cold. "Stay away from me." He turned and stormed through the throng of silent guests. No one dared stop him. A part of him felt humiliated, bearing his marital catastrophe in front of half the neighborhood. But he no longer cared. The truth was out. Ryan shoved open the front door. Stepping into the harsh night air, his mind whirled with raw fury, heartbreak, and a grim resolve. The conversation he overheard was enough to confirm it beyond any doubt. His wife had betrayed him, and that smug trainer had rubbed it in his face. He heard Heather's footsteps rushing up behind him. She grabbed his arm, voice trembling. "Ryan, please don't go like this. Let's talk at home." He spun, shaking her off. "You want to talk? Then tell me how long, how many times?" She looked away, tears streaming, unable to speak. His voice broke, but anger forced it steady. "You can't even say it, can you, Ryan? I know I'm done tonight." He snapped. "I need time to think, and I don't want you near me." Panic seized her features. "Please, I made a mistake, but I love you. I'll do anything. Don't leave me like this." Ryan's expression hardened. "You just destroyed everything we built. Consider me gone with that." He strode to his car, yanked the door open, and threw himself behind the wheel. Heather's sobs echoed across the lawn, but Ryan didn't look back. He jammed the key into the ignition, adrenaline pounding through his veins, and tore out of Nick's driveway, not caring who might see him pull off into the night. He only knew one thing. This wasn't just heartbreak, it was war, and if Heather thought he'd collapse into a tearful, forgiving mess, she was dead wrong. He was far from helpless. He would gather the evidence, plan his moves, and make them both wish they'd never crossed him. Ryan hadn't slept a wink since the night of the Halloween disaster. Over the past few days, he'd filed for a week's leave at the tech firm, citing a family emergency just so he could quietly strategize. He'd set himself up in a small, short-term rental apartment across town, something he arranged through a friend's real estate hookup. It was sparse white walls, minimal furniture, but it offered privacy away from Heather's emotional onslaught. On this particular morning, Ryan nursed a black coffee, trying to banish the ghostly images of Heather in Jason's arms. He was done replaying that in his head, but it lurked in every idle moment. Just as he was revisiting a mental list of next steps, lawyer data collection, he heard a knock at his temporary front door. He sat down, his mug, heart thumping. He wasn't expecting visitors. Steeling himself, he peered through the peephole. Nick stood there, looking uncomfortable but determined. 2 cups of Togo coffee in a cardboard tray. Ryan opened the door. "Morning," he said, not exactly smiling. Nick raised the coffee. "Got you a fresh brew. Mind if I come in?" Ryan stepped aside. "Sure." Nick walked into the barren living room. He glanced around, noticing the empty shelves and the sofa bed. "Damn, man, didn't think you'd actually move out so fast." Ryan shrugged, crossing his arms. Needed space. Couldn't stand being under the same roof. Hearing her excuses, Nick sighed, handing over the coffee. "So how are you holding up?" "Focused," Ryan said simply. "Not good, not bad, just, I'm dealing with it." Nick's gaze darted to the floor. "Heather's been blowing up Lucy's phone. She wants to see you, talk to you, beg for your forgiveness." Ryan scoffed. "Yeah, well, she can keep begging. I'm not sure how many times I need to hear. It's just a mistake. I heard them with my own ears." "Nick, she can't rewrite that." Nick nodded slowly. "I get it. Look, I wanted to say I'm sorry if I didn't see the warning signs sooner. I mean, that trainer asshole Jason, he's always had a reputation. I just never dreamed." "You know," Ryan's jaw tightened. "Don't blame yourself. They did this on their own." Nick shifted, exhaling. "So what's your plan?" Ryan took a sip of coffee, savoring the bitterness. "Plan to gather evidence, protect my interests, and make sure they both regret this. I'm done playing Mr. Nice Guy." Nick nodded thoughtfully. "Lucy and I are on your side, man. Whatever you need, you got it." Ryan managed a half smile. "I appreciate that. Actually, I might need some help soon." Discreetly, "There's stuff I need to confirm about Jason." Nick arched a brow. Meaning? Ryan hesitated, then spoke carefully. I suspect Jason's been sleeping around with other married clients. Heather might not even be his first. If I can prove that pattern, it bolsters my case that he targeted Heather. Nick's eyes flashed with realization. Got it. I can do some digging. Maybe talk to a couple of guys at the gym I go to. People talk. Rumors might surface. Ryan nodded appreciatively. Exactly. I don't want speculation. I want facts. But yeah, any leads? Help. They exchanged a firm handshake, an unspoken understanding passing between them. Nick soon laughed, leaving Ryan alone again. But now Ryan felt a renewed sense of purpose. He wasn't just aimlessly raging, he was methodically planning. That afternoon, Ryan's phone buzzed with a number he didn't recognize. Usually he'd ignore it, but some instinct told him to check. Marissa, Ryan, this is Marissa, Jason's wife. I got your number from Lucy. Could we talk? Ryan's fingers hovered over the screen. Part of him wanted to block anything connected to Jason, but another part recognized an opportunity. He typed back, Ryan, sure, what's on your mind? The phone rang almost instantly. Ryan put it on speaker. Marissa, hey, thanks for picking up, she said, her voice small. I'm not sure where to start. Ryan leaned against the kitchen counter. Just say what you need to say. She inhaled shakily. Okay, so I kicked Jason out. After that whole scene, he basically admitted everything. Said it was partly my fault for not giving him enough attention, if you can believe that. Ryan's brow furrowed. He's a piece of work. You've got every right to be furious. Furious doesn't even cover it, Marissa replied with a bitter laugh. But here's the thing. I know he's been hooking up with multiple women from his client list. I can't prove it. And if I file for divorce, he might lie about finances, do all sorts of shady stuff. Ryan's mind raced. You want help building a case? Exactly. I know you're tech savvy, and I know you want to bring him down after what he did to Heather. To you, maybe we can help each other. Ryan recalled how he'd overheard something about Jason's big fitness brand ambitions. He's been building a brand, right? Sponsorship deals, maybe even social media partnerships. Yes, Marissa exclaimed. He's trying to land a big deal with a local sportswear company. He's been bragging about it for weeks. It's basically his dream. He wants to go nationwide, open more gyms, produce training videos. Ryan ground his teeth. Let's see how W sponsors react if they learn about a trainer who sleeps with married clients. Marissa sounded tentative. So we're on the same page. I'm listening, Ryan replied, a cold edge in his voice. Let's figure out how we both get what we want. Later that day, they decided to meet in person at a quiet cafe on the outskirts of town. Ryan arrived first, choosing a corner booth. He wanted a vantage point to watch who came and went, just in case Jason tried anything. Marissa slipped in, wearing a baseball cap and sunglasses as though she was trying to hide from the world. She removed the shades once she was seated, revealing puffy eyes. Clearly, she'd been crying. Thanks for coming, she murmured, fiddling with her coffee cup. No problem, Ryan replied. Let's skip the small talk. Tell me your situation. Marissa took a shaky breath. Jason and I have been married 3 years. I started noticing weird behavior months ago. Late night flirting with other women. But I was so naive. Then at the Halloween party, it all blew up. He came home furious about you punching him, and we fought. He basically blamed me for everything. Ryan kept his tone measured. And you want a divorce? She nodded. Yes, but I need to ensure I'm not left penniless. He's a master manipulator. He'll claim I'm the one who neglected him, or that I was unfaithful. Some nonsense. I don't have the money to hire a fancy lawyer on my own. Ryan considered. I can recommend someone. I've started consulting an attorney who's specialized in complex divorce cases. But it's not cheap. Her eyes flashed with determination. If it means taking Jason down, I'll scrape the funds together. I can't let him keep hurting people like you or whoever else he's seducing. It's disgusting. Ryan felt a flicker of empathy for her. She was trapped in her own nightmare, not so different from his. All right, so let's talk strategy. You said he has sponsors lined up. Marissa nodded. He's courting a brand called Ultra Fit. They sponsor local fitness expos. He's obsessed with them. Ryan smirked. If we show them a pattern of unethical behavior, that brand deal goes out the window. Marissa sipped her coffee, voice trembling. Yeah, that'd crush him. He's pinned his entire future on that sponsorship. A silence fell as they each processed the vengeful direction of the conversation. Then Marissa leaned forward. I have some tech screenshots, ones that hint he's bragging about hooking up with a hot married client behind her husband's back. He doesn't name names, but it's obvious. Ryan took out his phone. Send them to me. I'll forward them to my attorney. Meanwhile, you gather any financial records, anything that shows he's been funneling money or lying about income. Marissa nodded, the corners of her mouth lifting in a grim smile. I will. They set the plan in motion, forging an unexpected alliance built on shared betrayal and a drive to bring Jason down. 2 evenings later, Ryan was at the apartment, scanning through a trove of call logs from the joint phone plan he shared with Heather before he'd separated their accounts. His mind was so absorbed he almost didn't hear the knock when it persisted. He got up, peering through the peephole again. Heather stood there, looking fragile, shifting nervously. She clutched a small notebook. Ryan's first instinct was to ignore her, but something, maybe curiosity or the need for closure, made him open the door a crack. What do you want? He asked coldly. She glanced up, eyes rimmed with red. Ryan, please, can I come in? He paused, then stepped aside. I'm giving you 5 minutes. She walked in, hugging the notebook to her chest. I found out you moved here from Lucy. I'm not stalking you, I swear, she said quickly. I need to talk. Ryan remained near the door, arms crossed. Talk. Heather's eyes flicked around the bare space. Is this what it's come to? We can't even speak at home. He shot her, pointed. Look, that home is a place where you lied, cheated and humiliated me. So, yeah, I'd rather stay here. She trembled. Ryan, I know you hate me. I know I messed up beyond words, but I want to fix this. His nostrils flared. Fix it. You think you can fix this with an apology? Heather's voice wobbled. I'm not asking for instant forgiveness, but please hear me out. We were married for 5 years, had so many plans. Don't throw it all away. Ryan let out a bitter laugh. I'm not the one who tossed it away, Heather. You did that the moment you decided to get cozy with your trainer. Tears slipped down her cheeks. I don't know. It started when you got so wrapped up in your promotion. Remember how you barely looked at me for days, and then Jason was just there praising me, giving me attention. And you had zero self-control. Ryan finished venom, lacing his words. Congrats. She blinked, pained. I'm not excusing it. I own that I was selfish, but I swear it was never about love. It was an escape, a stupid rush. Then it spiraled. Ryan stared at her jaw tight. Is that supposed to help me sleep at night? That you were bored, so you hopped into bed with some scumbag trainer? Heather sobbed, wiping her eyes. No, I want you to know I regret everything. I ended it right after that party. I told Jason I never want to see him again. He tried calling, but I blocked him. Ryan felt a flicker of cold satisfaction at that. Good. At least you had sense to do that. Heather extended the notebook shakily. These are some notes I wrote about all the things I did, all the times I was dishonest. I listed them out. I'm giving them to you because I have nothing to hide anymore. If you still want to divorce me, I understand, but I hope you'll see I'm not lying about ending it. Ryan took the notebook slowly, flipping through pages of scribbled text. He scanned a few lines, dates, times, short confessions. It was painful to read, but also validating. Finally, he snapped it shut. I'll look at it. Don't expect me to trust you again, though. Heather nodded, tears still falling. Thank you for letting me in. He opened the door, signifying she should leave. I'll be in touch. Or not. I need time. She gave him a desperate, longing look, then slipped out. A day later, Marissa called again, her voice trembling with excitement. Ryan, you won't believe this. I found a second phone in Jason's stuff. Ryan's pulse quickened. Another phone? Like a burner? Yes. It was shoved in a gym bag hidden under some old towels. I charged it. Turned it on. There's a bunch of messages from random women. Some are explicit. This is big, right? Ryan exhaled. Huge. That means he was coordinating all these affairs off the radar. If we can connect him to multiple married clients, we could sink his entire career. Also, it'll bolster your divorce case. Marissa hesitated. It's a lot to read, and some messages prove he was screwing around even before Heather. That poor woman from the yoga studio. I recognized her name. It's sick. But what do we do with all this? A savage satisfaction curled in Ryan's gut. We document it. We forward copies to my lawyer and to your lawyer. If you get one, then we strategize. Marissa inhaled. Okay, I'll send it all. Just promise me we'll take him down. I can't stomach him walking away from this like it's no big deal. Ryan closed his eyes, recalling Jason's smug grin. I promise. That same afternoon, Ryan sat at a borrowed desk in the small apartment, a laptop open. He had Heather's notebook, the phone logs, and now a zip file from Marissa's rummaging. The more he read, the clearer the pattern. Jason targeted married women who were dissatisfied or bored, offering them flirtation, compliments, then hooking up in gyms, hotels, even their own homes. Ryan meticulously organized the evidence into folders. Jason's burner phone, screenshots, text logs with Heather, unknown woman 1, unknown woman 2, and so on. He labeled times, cross-referenced them with credit card statements from the phone plan as he worked. He felt a renewed sense of control. Rage still simmered beneath the surface, but now it had direction. Occasionally, he glanced at Heather, scrawled confessions she'd written about feeling abandoned, about how it started with flirtations, escalated into secret lunches, then hotel rendezvous. She claimed guilt ate her alive, especially in the final weeks. She ended with an apology that spanned 3 pages. For a moment, a faint twinge of sorrow cut through Ryan's chest. They had once been so happy planning trips and dreaming of starting a family. Now they were here, reduced to evidence, files, and heartbreak. But the sorrow only fueled his resolve. If Heather truly wanted to atone, fine. But Jason needed to pay for his shameless seduction of married women, and Ryan would make sure he didn't get away with it. Ryan's attorney, Jennifer Brooks, was a sharp-eyed woman in her early 40s who specialized in high-stakes divorce and financial forensics. She greeted Ryan in her office with a brisk handshake. He laid out a thick binder of documents. This is everything so far. Jennifer flipped through the pages, eyebrows rising. You've been thorough, she said, a hint of admiration in her tone. This Jason character is basically burying himself and your wife. Is she cooperating? Ryan sat straighter. Heather claims she's cut off contact with him. She even gave me a notebook of confessions. She wants to fix things, but I'm not sure if I want that. Jennifer nodded. I understand from a legal standpoint. If you decide to proceed with divorce, these materials will ensure you're in a strong position, especially regarding division of assets and potential alimony. Since Heather is the adulterous party, it can be leveraged depending on our state's laws. But we need to be strategic. Ryan rubbed his temples. And if I want to destroy Jason's brand, can I do that without implicating Heather too severely? I mean, she's guilty, but I don't necessarily need to broadcast her name to the entire fitness world. Jennifer considered. There's a delicate balance. We can leak enough about Jason's pattern of misconduct to ruin his sponsorship prospects. But you might risk Heather's privacy if you care about that. He paused. Did he care? The anger in him said she made her bed, but another part felt conflicted. I'll think about it. Let's keep the focus on Jason's repeated predatory behavior. If people infer Heather's involvement, so be it. Jennifer tapped a pen against the folder. All right, I'll move forward with drafting the separation agreement that heavily favors you, given the infidelity in parallel. I'll see how we can use Jason's dirty laundry to your advantage. Are you comfortable with me coordinating with Marissa's lawyer? Ryan nodded firmly. Yeah, we're aligned in wanting to expose him. Jennifer smiled. This is going to be interesting. That night, Ryan allowed himself a rare indulgence. A bottle of aged whiskey he'd been saving. He poured a generous glass, staring at the city lights through the apartment's single window. Heather had texted him again, begging him to meet for coffee. He hadn't replied. He felt a swirl of conflicting emotions. Despite everything, there was a part of him that once adored Heather deeply. Could that be salvaged? Or was the betrayal too stark? He took a slow sip, the whiskey burning his throat, and recalled how Heather used to wait up for him after long work nights, greeting him with a warm meal and a tired smile, how she teased him about his fancy job but always bragged about his ambition to her friends. He clenched his jaw. No, she shredded that loyalty the moment she hopped into bed with Jason. Still, he couldn't entirely bury the old memories. Maybe after all was said and done, he'd weigh her remorse. But first he'd see how far she'd truly go to rectify her wrongdoing. Around 11 p.m., Ryan's phone buzzed. The ID read Lucy. Lucy, he answered. It's late. Everything okay? She let out a shaky breath. Ryan, I'm so sorry to call you now. I saw Jason's car in Heather's driveway tonight. I was leaving from Nick's bowling thing, and I passed by your house. He was parked out front. Ryan's blood ran cold. Excuse me, he was at the house. Yes, Lucy said for maybe 20 minutes. Then he drove off. I didn't see Heather outside, but the lights were on. Ryan's pulse roared in his ears. Heather said she cut contact. She said. Lucy hurried on. I know, I'm just telling you what I saw. Maybe he showed up uninvited. Maybe she kicked him out. But I thought you should know. Tension coiled in Ryan's gut. Thank you for telling me. He hung up, heart hammering. Had Heather lied again, or was Jason forcing his way back? His phone lit up again, Heather calling. He glared at it, debating whether to pick up. After 3 rings, he answered in a tight voice. What, Ryan? She sounded frantic. Jason just showed up out of nowhere, demanding to talk. I didn't let him in, I swear. He got angry, yelled at me, then sped off. I don't know what to do. Ryan's knuckles whitened as he gripped the phone. Should I believe you? Lucy said she saw his car there. Heather exhaled shakily. It's the truth. I told him. I never want to see him again. That I'm trying to fix my marriage. He said I owed him for shutting him out. He was furious that I told you everything. I threatened to call the cops if he didn't leave. Ryan said nothing, listening to her ragged breathing. Finally, Heather whispered, I know I'm the last person you trust, but I'm telling you, he's unhinged. Please be careful. Duly noted. Ryan growled, then ended the call. He tossed his phone onto the sofa and let the anger simmer. One thing was certain. Jason was still sniffing around, desperate to keep Heather under his thumb or to intimidate her. But if the trainer thought he could scare Ryan off, he was about to learn how wrong he was. The next morning, Ryan woke to half a dozen missed calls from an unknown number. Part of him suspected it might be Jason, but he didn't bother calling back. He had bigger fish to fry today. A meeting with Marissa and Jennifer to finalize their approach. He arrived at a downtown cafe where Marissa was already seated at a corner table, laptop open. She waved him over. Jennifer arrived moments later, juggling a leather briefcase. Jennifer's gaze flicked between them. Morning. Let's jump right in. Ryan nodded, taking a seat. Marissa, you want to start? Marissa pressed her lips together. I found more messages on Jason's burner phone. It's worse than I thought. He boasted about hooking up with wives of 2 local gym owners. I guess he sees it as some sick conquest. Jennifer frowned, scribbling notes. So we have multiple verified affairs? No question. Any sign of blackmail or coerced hush money? That could be a criminal angle. Marissa shook her head. Not directly, but some messages hint at him receiving gifts from one woman. Could be hush money. Ryan chimed in. At the very least, it shows Jason's MO. He identifies vulnerable women, seduces them, and occasionally extort benefits. Jennifer tapped her pen on the table. This definitely can sabotage him with ultra fit. Public outcry alone would make them drop him. Marissa took a steadying breath. Good, let's proceed. Anything you need from me? Jennifer leaned forward. Document everything. I'll approach Ultrafit's legal team or PR department discreetly. Give them a heads up that they're about to sponsor a morally bankrupt trainer. That alone might force them to back off. Ryan felt a grim satisfaction. He'll lose the deal. Then, financially, he'll be on the ropes, right? Marissa's eyes flickered. Yes, and if we time it so his brand is collapsing, right? When I file for divorce, he'll be more likely to settle quickly. Maybe even sign away property or assets. He'll be too busy doing damage control. Jennifer nodded. Exactly. Simultaneous hits from both sides. They hashed out further details, finalizing the approach. Then Marissa left, needing to gather more of Jason's personal records from their condo. After lunch, Ryan scrolled through messages on his phone and found a text from Lucy. Frantic. Ryan, call me say. Something's happened with Heather. His heart lurched. He dialed Lucy. She picked up immediately. Ryan, oh my God, I don't know how to say this. Heather's car was found abandoned near the old gym across town, and Nick and I can't reach her. She's not answering calls or texts. Ryan's pulse skyrocketed. Wait, what? Did the police find it? Lucy's voice shook. Yes, apparently it was left with the door open, keys on the seat. Some bystander reported it. The cops traced the registration to Heather. They asked if we knew where she was. Nick is out looking for her, but we have no clue. Ryan clenched his jaw, adrenaline flooding his system. You think Jason's involved? Lucy's breath caught. We suspect, but we don't have proof. Maybe Heather just freaked out and left the car. But it's so bizarre. Without a second thought, Ryan grabbed his keys. I'm heading there now. Text me the location and Lucy. Don't panic, she exhaled shakily. Right, stay in touch. Ryan's mind raced as he sped across town. Heather's car was near that older gym where Jason used to train clients. It was mostly abandoned now, overshadowed by a newer facility. He arrived to find 2 squad cars parked out front. An officer taking notes. Sure enough, Heather's silver sedan sat haphazardly, driver's door wide open. Ryan parked, bracing himself. A tall police officer approached. You know the owner of this vehicle? Ryan nodded. Yes, it's my wife's car. We're separated. I got a call that it was found here. The officer glanced at his notepad. We got a tip about an abandoned car. Door was open. Keys inside. No sign of the driver. Did your wife mention anything about coming here? No, she didn't, Ryan said, anxiety tightening his chest. She's been avoiding this area. We suspect her ex-lover might be behind this. He used to train here. The officer frowned. You want to file a missing persons report? Ryan inhaled, trying to stay calm. Yes, if we don't find her soon. The officer nodded. We'll do a quick sweep. We can't assume anything criminal yet, but obviously this is suspicious. Let me get your contact info. Ryan provided his details, then phone in hand. He frantically tried calling Heather straight to voicemail. His mind churned with horrifying scenarios. Had Jason forced her out of the car, kidnapped her, or had she willingly gone with him? Nick showed up moments later, looking grim. Lucy was behind him, biting her lip in worry. Any sign of her? Nick asked, scanning the parking lot. Ryan shook his head, tension radiating off him. Nothing. Suddenly, Ryan's phone buzzed. An unknown number. He snatched it up. Hello? Ryan came Heather's trembling voice. I'm okay. Please don't alert the cops. Ryan's heart hammered. Heather, where the hell are you? Your car. She drew a shaky breath. I'm sorry, I worried everyone. Jason cornered me. He insisted we talk. I panicked, left my car behind and ran off with him to keep him from God. I don't even know. He said he'd come to the house again if I didn't go with him. Ryan's anger flared. So you just hopped into his car? Are you insane? She sniffled. I didn't know what else to do. He was threatening me, saying if I didn't at least talk to him, he'd cause more trouble. But please, I'm safe. He dropped me at a bus station. I'm heading back now. Ryan massaged his temples. Stay on the line. I'm near your car with the police. They think you might be missing. Heather's voice quivered. I'll come to you. Just please tell them not to arrest me or anything. I'm sorry. Ryan gestured to the officer, who stepped closer. Ryan covered the mic. She's okay. She's on the phone. She says Jason threatened her, but she's safe. The officer relaxed slightly, nodding. We'll still want a statement. If she was threatened. 20 minutes later, Heather arrived in an Uber. She stepped out, looking frazzled, hair disheveled, eyes puffy. Lucy darted over, pulling her into a worried embrace. Nick hovered behind them, arms crossed. Ryan approached, exhaling and relieved that she'd at least appeared unharmed. But rage simmered beneath the surface. Heather, he said icily, this is insane. She nodded, tears brimming. I know, I'm so sorry. He showed up at the grocery store parking lot. I felt trapped. He said if I didn't talk, he'd go to your apartment, cause a scene. Maybe try to sabotage your job. I freaked out. I left my car and got in his. Ryan shot her a furious glare. Are you hearing yourself? You let that psychopath blackmail you? You could have called me or the cops. Heather's voice cracked. I panicked. He was yelling, making threats. I thought if I just heard him out, he'd leave me alone. Nick cut in. We should probably talk about this at home, away from the police. Heather turned to the officer, explaining the gist of the story. The cop took notes, told her to contact them if she wanted to press charges. She declined for now, just wanting to leave. With that, the group parted ways. Heather insisted on driving her car home. Though she was visibly shaken, Lucy offered to follow her. Ryan stood in the parking lot with Nick. They watched Heather pull out, Lucy trailing behind. Nick muttered, "This is messed up. Jason's going off the rails." Ryan ground his teeth. We're going to handle it one way or another. That evening, Ryan decided to drop by the house he once shared with Heather, wanting to see if she was stable. He found her curled on the couch, hugging a throw blanket, eyes swollen from crying. He stepped in quietly. You all right? She looked up, tears threatening again. I'm so sorry I caused a scare. I never wanted you or Lucy or Nick to freak out. But Jason was so unhinged. Ryan maintained a stiff stance. Why didn't you call me the second he approached you? If you claim you're done with him, you should treat him like an intruder. Heather shuddered, clutching the blanket. I know, I froze. I felt guilty, like maybe my past actions gave him the right to corner me. I don't know. I'm confused. Ryan's expression hardened. He has no right. You made a mistake, yes, but that doesn't give him a license to harass you. Next time you call the cops. Understood? She nodded, fresh tears slipping down her cheeks. Understood. Silence stretched. Then Heather spoke softly. Are you still determined to divorce me? Ryan swallowed. I haven't decided. I'm building my case, keeping options open. She sank her head into her hands. I hate this. I hate that I caused it, but I also hate that Jason's holding us hostage with these threats. He wants me to protect him, keep my mouth shut. He's worried about you exposing him to Ultrafit or something. Ryan's eyebrows flicked up. That's interesting. He told you that? She nodded. Yeah, he said he knows you're working with Marissa, trying to sabotage his career. He thinks I might have insider info. He demanded I spy on you. Ryan let out a short laugh. Wow, he's desperate. You told him no, I hope. Heather bristled. Of course I did. I'm done lying. They locked eyes, tension thick. Finally, Ryan said, I'll handle Jason if he shows up again. Call me and call the police. Heather nodded, wiping her tears. Okay. He hesitated, then turned to leave, pausing at the door. Take care of yourself, Heather. I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing it because I won't let him manipulate either of us. She stared after him, voice trembling with a simple thank you. 2 days later, an unexpected development cropped up. Nick texted Ryan with the scoop that UltraFit was holding a private fitness expo event at a local convention center. Jason was slated to do a product demo. Nick's text read, "Dude, rumor is Jason's going to unveil some big fitness brand partnership at the expo. He's apparently gotten them on board or close to it. Might be your chance to show them the real Jason." Ryan's eyes lit with grim satisfaction. This might be the perfect stage to blow Jason's facade wide open. He called Marissa. "You ready to sabotage Jason's big moment?" Marissa's voice shook with a mix of nerves and excitement. "Yes, I have those text messages, voice memos, everything. If UltraFit sees them." "Game over," Ryan smirked. "Let's do it. We'll attend the expo corner. The brand reps. They need to see who Jason really is." That Friday afternoon, Ryan and Marissa arrived at the convention center. It was buzzing with sports equipment booths, supplement stands, and mini stages for workout demos. The Ultra Fit booth loomed large in the center, featuring sleek banners of fit models and the brand's tagline pushing limits together. Perfect tagline for a scumbag who pushes other women's limits. Ryan thought darkly. They spotted Jason at the back, laughing with a small group of brand reps. He wore a tight, ultra-fit tank showing off sculpted arms. His face was all smiles, charismatic as ever, like he had no worries in the world. Marissa clutched her phone. He looked so smug. "I want to smack that grin off his face." Ryan took a calming breath. "We need to be strategic. Let's talk to the reps, not him. You show them the evidence." Marissa nodded. "Right, I see a woman wearing the senior brand manager badge. Let's approach her." They threaded their way through the crowd. Jason glimpsed them, brow furrowing. Ryan noted the flash of panic in his eyes. He whispered something to the reps, then strode toward them, intercepting. "Well, if it isn't my favorite duo," Jason drawled. "Marissa, you've never been interested in fitness expos before, and Ryan, you're more of a desk jockey, right?" Ryan forced a pleasant smile. "We're just checking out the scene. Heard you were making big waves." Jason crossed his arms, posture tense. "What do you want?" Marissa answered, voice steady. "We want to congratulate you, of course." He narrowed his eyes. "Cut the crap. I know you're up to something, trying to poise an ultra fight against me." Ryan shrugged. "Maybe the truth is poison for someone who's built their brand on lies." Jason stepped closer, lowering his voice to a hiss. "Look, you son of a bitch. If you sabotage this, I'll make sure Heather regrets ever being with you. I'll drag your name through the mud." Ryan's nostrils flared, but he kept his cool. "Threatening me again? How original." Marissa stepped between them. "Back off, Jason. We're not scared of your bullying." A brand rep from UltraFit glanced over. Curious, Jason quickly forced a grin, stepping aside. "We'll finish this later," he muttered. Then he walked back to the booth, plastering on a fake smile for the cameras. Marissa and Ryan navigated around the crowd to approach the senior brand manager, a woman named Alicia Moore. Judging by her name tag, she greeted them politely. Marissa's voice shook slightly, but she soldiered on. "Hi, sorry to bother you. I'm Marissa Carter. I understand your company is considering signing Jason Carter as a sponsored athlete." Alicia beamed. "Yes, that's correct. We're finalizing details soon. He's quite an impressive trainer." Marissa inhaled. "He's also my husband, soon-to-be ex-husband, and I have serious concerns about his conduct with clients. I believe it could reflect badly on UltraFit." Alicia's eyebrows rose. "Pardon?" Ryan jumped in. "We have documented evidence that Jason is engaged in multiple extramarital affairs with his clients. It's unethical, and it's ongoing. If you partner with him, you risk associating your brand with predatory behavior." Alicia's face hardened. "That's a strong allegation." Marissa pulled out her phone, scrolling quickly. "Would you be willing to see some messages? They are explicit, but they leave no doubt." Alicia hesitated, then nodded curtly. "Let me see." They huddled to the side where Marissa showed a selection of texts from the burner phone. Alicia's eyes grew wide, lips thinning into a frown. This is quite disturbing. Ryan folded his arms. He positions himself as a wholesome fitness role model, but it's all a front. Alicia scrolled more, wincing at certain lines. One read, I love hooking up with these bored wives. They're easy targets. She looked up, her expression grim. I can't confirm the authenticity of these messages right here, but if they are real, UltraFit cannot align with him. Our brand values integrity and respect. Marissa nodded, tears brimming. They're real. Check the time stamps. References. He's done this to more than one woman. Suddenly, Jason noticed the three of them huddled together. Realizing what was happening, he rushed over, face twisted in anger. Hey, Alicia, let's not get pulled into personal drama, he said, attempting a charming laugh. My estranged wife is just bitter and making things up. Alicia held up a hand. I'm going to need you to step back, Jason. I've seen enough. We will need a full investigation before finalizing any sponsorship. Jason's expression flickered from shock to rage. Are you kidding me? These are lies. She's lying to sabotage me. Ryan gave a dry chuckle. Check the phone logs, buddy. Or better yet, talk to the half-dozen women you've been stringing along. Jason's fists clenched. You smug bastard. Alicia stepped between them, face pale. Jason, UltraFit, maintains a zero-tolerance policy for unethical conduct. Until this is sorted out, we're suspending discussions. He spun to Alicia, desperate. Wait, I can explain everything. This is a smear campaign. They're blowing up small misunderstandings. Alicia's voice turned steely. We don't do business with scandal-ridden trainers. I'm sorry, but your demonstration is cancelled. We'll be in touch. Jason stared in horror as Alicia marched away, phone in hand, presumably to call her superiors. The crowd around them sensed the tension inching closer. Cameras flashed. Seething, Jason looked at Ryan, then at Marissa, his face contorted. You want war? You got it. Ryan smirked. We're not the ones who started this. Without another word, Jason stormed off, ignoring curious bystanders. Marissa exhaled shakily, tears of relief mingling with adrenaline. We did it. He's ruined. Ryan gave her a curt nod. And that's only the beginning. The fallout from the expo was swift. Word spread among the local fitness community that UltraFit pulled out of negotiations with Jason due to ethical concerns. People whispered about rumored affairs, shady deals. Gym owners began distancing themselves from him to avoid bad publicity. Ryan watched it unfold with quiet satisfaction. He felt no guilt. Jason's humiliation was self-inflicted. Meanwhile, Marissa served Jason with divorce papers. She texted Ryan triumphantly. He freaked out, threatened to fight me in court. But I've got receipts. No way. He wins. Heather tried contacting Ryan multiple times, wanting updates on the situation. He gave her minimal responses, mostly about Jason's meltdown. Deep down, a small part of him wondered if Heather felt relief or regret seeing Jason's downfall. Late one evening, Ryan was at his apartment, sifting through more legal documents. A sudden knock startled him. He opened the door to find Heather hair in a messy ponytail, wearing a gray hoodie. Her eyes were solemn. Can I come in? He shrugged, stepping aside. Sure, why not? She moved hesitantly into the living area. I heard about the expo fiasco, Lucy told me. So it's true. Jason lost the sponsorship. Ryan nodded. Yep, UltraFit wants nothing to do with him. Heather sank onto the edge of the small sofa. I'm not surprised. He's been blowing up my phone, ranting about how you and Marissa ruined his life. Ryan pursed his lips. If he keeps harassing you, get a restraining order. She chewed her lip. I might listen. I'm not here to defend him. I wanted to thank you for ensuring he can't hurt more women or me for that matter. Now that he's cornered, maybe he'll finally back off. Ryan leaned against the wall, arms crossed. He might be desperate enough to do something stupid. Watch your back. Heather nodded. I will. And about us, I know everything's still messed up, but I want you to know I'm not secretly rooting for Jason or anything. I'm on your side. Ryan's expression softened slightly. Good to hear. She hesitated, swallowing. Also, I've been thinking about that separation agreement you mentioned. If you do decide to divorce me, I won't fight you on the terms. I deserve whatever you want to do. He studied her, noting how worn she looked. Why the change of heart? She gave a sad laugh. Because I spent weeks lying and it brought me nothing but shame. I'm done lying. If you want the house, fine. If you want me gone, I'll go. I broke everything, Ryan. You owe me nothing. He eyed her in silence, an unexpected surge of empathy stirring. She looked so defeated, so unlike the vibrant woman who once sparkled in his life. Let's not make any rash decisions tonight, he finally said. We'll see how things unfold. Heather's eyes flickered with a mix of hope and sorrow. Thank you. A couple of days passed. Ryan got a call from Marissa. She sounded oddly cheerful. Guess what? I found a part-time job at a yoga studio. The owner knows about my situation with Jason and wants to help me get back on my feet. Ryan smiled slightly. That's great. Marissa, congratulations. She laughed a bit shy. It's not a high-paying gig, but it covers some bills and it's good to be around supportive people. Also, my lawyer says Jason's trying to claim I was the unfaithful one. Can you believe that? Ryan sighed. He's desperate, but I doubt that'll stick. Marissa paused. Hey, how are you doing? I know you're fighting your own battle here. Ryan rubbed his forehead, still sifting through evidence. Finalizing stuff with my attorney, trying to figure out if I want to salvage anything with Heather. Her voice softened. You sound exhausted. He let out a humorless chuckle. I am, but at least I have a direction. I'm not wandering aimlessly. Right, she agreed gently. Well, if you need to vent or talk strategy, you know how to find me. Thanks, Ryan replied. That means a lot. Later that week, Ryan dropped by the main grocery store in town for a few essentials. Turning down the produce aisle, he froze. Jason was there, looking haggard, dark circles under his eyes. He was dressed in sweats, rummaging through apples. For a split second, Ryan considered avoiding him, but Jason spotted him immediately, eyes narrowing. Ryan, Jason said, voice taut, you just can't stay out of my life, can you? Ryan snorted. Funny, I seem to recall it was you who invaded mine. Jason's jaw clenched. You ruined my sponsorship. Ultra Fit dropped me the day after that expo. Now every gym in town is turning me away. All because you and Marissa decided to spin lies. Ryan's eyes flashed cold. They're not lies. They're your own words. You boasted about screwing married clients. You dug your own grave. People nearby sensed the tension, quietly steering their carts away. Jason shoved an apple into a bag, sneering, you must feel so damn powerful, but you won't be gloating if I decide to file a defamation lawsuit. Ryan rolled his eyes. Go ahead. Discovery will be a blast revealing all your texts and videos. Jason's bravado flickered. He looked away, frustration etched on his face. Then lowering his voice. Why? I'm not done with you. I might have lost this round, but I'll make sure you pay. And I'll make sure Heather sees what kind of manipulative prick you really are. Ryan's fingers itched to punch him again, but he forced himself to remain calm. Keep threatening me, Jason. It'll only make my case stronger when I get a restraining order. Jason leaned in, eyes blazing. Screw you, he spat, then brushed past shoulders colliding with Ryan's. Ryan didn't move, standing firm as Jason walked away. Adrenaline pumped through his veins. Let him do his worst. Ryan wouldn't break. Back at the apartment, Ryan recounted the encounter to Nick over the phone. Nick snorted. Guy's spiraling. He's done for. Don't let him get under your skin. Ryan exhaled. I won't, but it's infuriating to see him still trying to threaten me. Nick's voice softened. Hey, maybe it's time you took a breather. You've been living in revenge mode for weeks. Step back. Look at the big picture. Heather's showing some remorse. Jason's career is basically in the trash. Maybe you've already won. Ryan paused. Have I won? He thought about it. The result was definitely leaning in his favor. Jason's brand was tarnished. Marissa was filing for divorce. Heather was contrite. Maybe, he murmured, but I'm not fully done. I need closure, Nick. I need to see it through legally. Nick sighed. Fair enough. Just don't lose yourself in the process. The following week, Marissa had a preliminary hearing for the divorce. Ryan accompanied her for support, sitting behind her in the small courtroom. Jason was there, too, looking tense. Their lawyers bickered over asset division, allegations of misconduct. Marissa's lawyer presented a chunk of texts that implicated Jason in multiple affairs. Jason's face reddened as the judge skimmed them. Eventually, the judge allowed the case to proceed, stating there was enough evidence that Jason had engaged in marital misconduct. Jason slumped in his seat, glaring daggers at Marissa and Ryan after the hearing. Outside in the hallway, Jason cornered Ryan once more. You think you're so righteous? Wait until Heather testifies. She'll have to come clean about how she chose me. She'll humiliate you all over again. Ryan's lips curled in a sardonic smile. I really don't care. The more you speak, the more pathetic you sound. Marissa tugged Ryan's sleeve. Let's go. We don't need to dignify this. They walked off, leaving Jason seething. That evening, Ryan finally sat down with Heather at the kitchen table of the old house. He'd come to pick up some papers, but they ended up talking. I need to know where we stand, Heather said quietly. Hands clasped. Are you going to finalize the divorce or give us a chance? Ryan leaned back, exhaling. I've been weighing it. On one hand, I can't just forget what happened on the other. You've shown genuine remorse. I see that you've tried to cut ties with Jason, tried to fix things. Heather's voice trembled. I'll keep trying, whatever it takes. I'm not the same person I was when I let him tempt me. I promise. He studied her earnest, teary gaze. It's going to take more than promises, Heather. Trust isn't rebuilt overnight. She nodded. I know, but if there's even a small chance, I want to fight for us. Ryan sighed. Let's hold off on the divorce for now. We'll do a legal separation. See if you follow through on your claims. If I see you wavering, if Jason so much as crosses this threshold, I'm done. Relief flooded her face. I understand, thank you. A few days later, Ryan received a cryptic text from Marissa. Heads up, Jason's planning something. He mentioned wanting to expose you at some event. Be careful. Ryan frowned at his phone. Suspicion creeping in. Exposed me. For what exactly? That same day, Lucy called. Ryan, rumor is Jason's been telling people you're the reason Heather cheated in the first place. That you were physically abusive, ignoring her needs. He claims to have pictures of bruises or something. It's obviously fake, right? Ryan let out a disgusted snort. Absolutely fake. I never laid a hand on her. He's grasping at straws. Lucy sighed. Well, some folks might be gullible enough to believe him if he tries to present that publicly. Ryan rubbed his temples. He can't have legitimate proof because it never happened. He's probably staging something. I'll warn Heather. That evening, Ryan and Heather sat on the living room sofa, an awkward closeness since their separation. He explained Jason's rumored plan. Heather's eyes widened in outrage. How dare he accuse you of abuse? She spat. That's insane. Ryan nodded. Could you maybe put something in writing, an official statement that these claims are false? If he tries to defame me, I can use your testimony. Heather grabbed her phone. Hell, yes. I'll write a statement. I'll call Lucy, Nick, anyone who's known us. They'll confirm you never laid a hand on me. Ryan watched her, a strange mix of gratitude and lingering hurt swirling in his chest. She was so fierce in defending him now, yet she'd once betrayed him. Still, her immediate refusal of Jason's story gave him a spark of hope that maybe she'd truly turned a corner. Late that night, Ryan's phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Meet me at the empty warehouse behind the old gym tomorrow at 8 p.m. If you want to see some real proof about Heather, come alone. Jay Ryan's blood ran cold. He's luring me to a warehouse, he muttered to himself. That's straight out of a bad movie. He debated ignoring it, but curiosity gnawed at him. Was Jason bluffing about real proof? Did he intend to ambush Ryan? A slow determination settled in Ryan's gut. If Jason wanted to corner him, so be it. Ryan was done running. He texted back a single word, "Fine." Ryan spent the next day in a state of heightened vigilance. He told Nick about Jason's cryptic message, and Nick insisted on coming as backup. Ryan shook his head. He said, "Come alone. If I bring you, he might bolt." Nick frowned. "I don't like this. He's unhinged. Could be a trap." Ryan nodded grimly. "I'm not stupid. I'll be careful." He tucked a small voice recorder into his jacket pocket, along with pepper spray. He had no intention of playing fair if Jason tried something physical. At 7:50 p.m., Ryan pulled up to the desolate warehouse behind the defunct gym. Tall chain link fences, broken windows. The sky was a deep indigo and only a flickering street lamp offered any illumination. He stepped out, scanning the area. A single car was parked near a side entrance. Jason's car, heart pounding. Ryan approached slowly, phone in hand, ready to dial 911 if needed. He'd entered the warehouse, footsteps echoing. Jason stood in a patch of light from a dusty overhead lamp, arms folded. "You actually came?" Jason said, voice dripping with contempt. Ryan eyed him warily. "What's this about?" "Proof." Jason reached into his jacket, pulling out a thin manila envelope. "Photos," he said, "proving Heather's a slut, hooking up with not just me, but others too." "You sure you want to keep that woman?" Ryan clenched his jaw. "She told me there was no one else." "Show me." Jason handed over the envelope. Ryan flipped through grainy snapshots of Heather. Some in the gym, some in a parking lot, speaking to men. Nothing explicitly incriminating. In a few photos, they were hugging or leaning in, but they were mostly angled awkwardly, as if taken from a distance. Ryan frowned. "This proves nothing, except she talked to some guys." Jason shrugged. "Maybe the rest is in my head. Maybe these men just haven't stepped forward. But how do you think it looks to a judge if I say Heather's got a habit of straying?" Ryan tossed the envelope on a nearby crate. "Try it. Heather will deny it, and you have no real proof." Jason's smile was feral. "I could fabricate more. Get some bodies to claim they had a fling with her. The damage to her reputation. Your reputation would be huge. You want that?" Ryan's temper flared, but he kept his voice controlled. "You're blackmailing me to do what exactly?" Jason gestured with a mocking flourish. "I want you to drop your alliance with Marissa. Stop feeding her evidence. Stop supporting her financially. Whatever you're doing, let me salvage my life." Ryan snorted. "So you want me to let you walk free? And in return, you won't smear Heather with these made-up stories?" Jason nodded. "Exactly. Because if you keep meddling, I'll drag Heather's name through the mud. She'll never recover. She might not care about me, but she'll care about that, right?" Ryan's fists clenched. This was the sickest ultimatum yet. "You realize how desperate you sound." Jason stepped forward, eyes wild. "Desperate men do desperate things. Ryan, back off or watch Heather burn." Ryan inhaled sharply, then reached into his pocket. Jason tensed as if expecting a weapon. Instead, Ryan tapped the recorder. "That was all recorded, you idiot." Ryan said calmly, "You threatened defamation, blackmail, both criminal. You think a judge won't love hearing you say I'll destroy Heather's reputation if you don't comply?" Jason froze, face draining of color. You set me up." Ryan smirked. "I had a feeling you'd pull something like this. Congratulations. You just handed me more ammo." Jason's composure cracked. "I'll say you doctored the audio." Ryan shrugged. "Go for it. I have phone logs, texts, witnesses to your threats in public. This is just the cherry on top. Good luck spinning it." Jason lunged, grabbing for the recorder. Ryan ducked back, thrusting his left hand forward, unleashing the pepper spray straight into Jason's eyes. Jason howled, staggering, hands clawing at his face. "You bastard," he croaked, blinking furiously. Ryan stepped back, adrenaline surging. He kept the nozzle aimed back off. Jason swung blindly, connecting a wild punch to Ryan's shoulder. The force spun Ryan sideways, nearly knocking him into a pile of crates. Ryan steadied himself, raising the pepper spray again. Jason stumbled, eyes watering, curses spewing from his mouth before either man could regain a foothold. They heard sirens. Red and blue lights flickered through the dusty warehouse windows. Ryan's lips curved in a grim smile. I told a friend where I'd be, he said. If I didn't text back in 15 minutes, he'd call the cops. Smart. Jason was too busy gasping from the pepper sting to reply. Seconds later, 2 police officers burst in flashlights, slicing through the darkness. Hands up. Ryan raised his arms calmly. I'm the victim here, officer. This man just threatened me with blackmail and attacked me. One officer approached Jason, still writhing from the pepper spray, and pinned him against the wall. The other patted Ryan down, ensuring no weapons beyond the spray. The cops separated them, getting statements. Ryan handed over the recorder, explaining the situation. Jason sputtered. He sprayed me for no reason. Ryan kept his tone measured. I acted in self-defense after he tried to grab me. I have it all on audio. One officer listened to a snippet on the recorder, Jason's voice threatening to destroy Heather. The officer glanced at Jason. You want to explain that? Jason's face twisted in panic. Look, it's complicated. The officer shook his head. We'll sort it out at the station. They placed Jason in handcuffs, reading him his rights. Ryan watched in stony silence as they led him away. In that moment, a wave of relief washed over him. Jason's meltdown had reached its climax, and it ended in handcuffs. An hour later, Ryan stood by his car on the phone with Nick. Yeah, the cops have him. He attacked me after trying to blackmail me. I'm okay, just a sore shoulder. Nick exhaled. Damn, you sure you're all right? Better than him. They arrested him on suspicion of assault and blackmail. I'll file a restraining order first thing tomorrow. Nick let out a low whistle. Feels like justice, man. He had it coming. Ryan nodded, though Nick couldn't see it. Yep, I think this might be the final nail in his coffin. No more threats, no more ambushes. Nick paused. What about Heather? Ryan sighed. I'll tell her. She'll probably be relieved. Let's just hope this means we can all move on. Ryan drove back to the house he once shared with Heather, adrenaline still coursing through him. He found her pacing in the living room, phone in hand. She rushed over the second he stepped inside. Oh my God, Ryan, she cried, scanning him for injuries. Nick told me you confronted Jason. Are you hurt? Ryan rubbed his shoulder, wincing. He got one punch in. But I'm fine. Pepper spray did most of the work. Heather shivered. I was terrified he'd do something awful. I'm sorry you had to handle that. He sat a hand on her arm, surprising himself. It's done. The police took him away. I have enough evidence to ensure he won't bother you anymore. She swallowed thickly, tears brimming. Thank you. I can't believe the lengths he went to. Ryan dropped his gaze. He tried blackmail, claiming he'd ruin your name if I didn't back off. Heather paled. He threatened me. Ryan nodded. Yes, but he gave me enough rope to hang himself with his own words. I recorded everything. She exhaled in relief and grief. I guess that's that. He'll probably end up behind bars, or at least with a criminal record. Ryan studied her trembling form. Are you okay? This must be a lot to process. She sank onto the couch. I'm horrified at how far this spiraled. I never wanted to destroy lives, but I guess it was inevitable once we crossed the line. He lowered himself next to her. Silence enveloped them for a moment, a swirl of regret and relief. Finally Ryan spoke. You made a terrible mistake, Heather, but Jason took it to another level. I'm sorry he dragged you through hell with him. She bit her lip, tears slipping down. So what happens now with us? He stared at the floor, the question echoing in his mind. I'm not sure, but we're not living under Jason's shadow anymore. That's a start. They sat there, side by side, the tension in the house easing. Eventually, Heather leaned her head on Ryan's shoulder, tentatively, as if seeking comfort, but not sure if she deserved it. Ryan let her remain there, feeling the weight of it all wash over him for once. He didn't push her away. He wasn't ready to call it reconciliation, but it was a moment of tenuous peace. They had reached a turning point. Jason's threat was neutralized. His brand tarnished, his illusions shattered. The path was open for Ryan to decide the fate of his marriage. Heather sniffled, whispering, "Thank you." Ryan closed his eyes. "Don't thank me yet. We still have a long road ahead, but at least for tonight." They had a brief reprieve from the chaos. The morning sunlight streamed through the windows of Heather's living room, where she and Ryan had dozed off in an uneasy half-sleep. Ryan was the first to stir, gently shifting as Heather blinked awake beside him. Neither had planned to fall asleep on the couch, but the emotional exhaustion left them both drained. He stretched, every muscle tense from last night's confrontation with Jason. "Morning," he said softly, voice husky. Heather sat up, adjusting her wrinkled hoodie. "Morning. How's your shoulder?" "It's a little sore," Ryan admitted, rotating it. "But I'll live." She nodded, lowering her gaze. "I'm really sorry about everything." He studied her for a moment, recalling how she'd stayed with him worrying after Jason's arrest. A fleeting warmth passed between them. "We'll deal with it," he said, standing. "First things first. I should call the precinct, see what the next steps are." Heather tucked her legs under the blanket. "Good idea. Should I come with you or?" Ryan hesitated. "Let me do it alone. I'll fill you in." Heather gave him a small understanding nod. The precarious peace between them felt fragile, but tangible, like a crystal ornament that could shatter with one wrong move. Later that morning, Ryan arrived at the local police station. The fluorescent lights hummed in the lobby as he'd approached the front desk. He gave his name, asked about Jason's status. A uniformed officer checked his computer. Jason Carter was booked last night on suspicion of assault. Attempted blackmail. He's been released on bail a few hours ago. Ryan's brow furrowed already. The officer shrugged. He posted bail. There'll be a hearing in a few days. If you want a restraining order, you can start that process right now. Ryan exhaled, tension twisting in his stomach. Jason was out again. "All right," he said firmly. "Let's do that." Restraining order. Sitting down with a different officer, Ryan detailed the threats Jason made. He submitted the audio recording as evidence, filling out paperwork. By the end of it, he felt drained, but a sense of relief flickered. Jason couldn't legally come near him or Heather without risking jail time. That afternoon, Heather paced the living room, phone in hand, bracing herself. She dialed her parents' number. She hadn't shared the entire story with them, only that her marriage was on the rocks and she'd made grave mistakes. "Mom," she said softly when the call connected. "It's me. I need to tell you something important." Her mother's concerned voice crackled through the phone. "Heather, honey, what's going on? You sound upset." Heather swallowed, mustering courage. "I cheated on Ryan, and the man I was involved with turned out to be dangerous. It's been a nightmare, Mom. Ryan and I might still get divorced, but I'm trying. Trying so hard to fix what?" I broke a stunned silence on the other line. Then her mother murmured, "Heather." "Oh, honey, why?" Tears pricked Heather's eyes. "I don't know. I felt neglected, lonely. But that's no excuse. And now this other man got arrested for threatening Ryan. It's a mess." Her mother inhaled shakily. "I'm so sorry, sweetie. Does Ryan still love you?" Heather glanced toward the kitchen, where Ryan was rummaging for a snack. "I don't know, but he hasn't slammed the door on me completely. He's cautious. We're living in this weird limbo." They talked a few more minutes, her mother promising support, though heartbreak laced every word. Heather ended the call, feeling a little lighter. At least the truth was out in the open. That same day, Ryan invited Heather to join him at Jennifer Brooks's law office. The tension between them was palpable as they sat side by side before Jennifer's imposing oak desk. Jennifer clasped her hands. "Ryan, Heather, thank you both for coming. It's important we clarify the legal route." Ryan initially pursued a divorce strategy, but you said you're reevaluating. Ryan nodded slowly. "Yes. Given the changes and the fact that Heather is cooperating now, I haven't fully decided. I still want a legal separation, at minimum, to protect my assets and clarify boundaries." Heather spoke up, voice quiet but clear. I accept that. I'll sign a separation agreement if that's what Ryan needs. Jennifer glanced between them. All right, I can draft a separation agreement with terms that reflect your new stance. Ryan, you retain the right to pursue a full divorce at any point, but this gives you time to see if reconciliation is truly possible. Ryan exhaled, feeling a knot loosened in his chest. That's what I want for now. Jennifer nodded. We'll finalize that soon. Also, regarding the charges against Jason Ryan, if the Dawn needs your testimony or evidence, I assume you're prepared. Ryan's eyes hardened. Absolutely. We've got the audio of his threats, plus texts from Marissa. Heather added softly. If needed, I'll testify too. I want to do the right thing. Jennifer offered a tight smile. Good. Then let's proceed. Over the next few days, rumors circulated that Jason, out on bail, was trying to scrounge up new clients in a nearby county, where gossip about his scandal might not have spread so fast. Nick relayed this info to Ryan over a phone call. Ryan snorted. He never learns. Nick sighed. Yeah, but he's got a hearing soon. Maybe he's hoping to make a quick buck before the law shuts him down. Ryan felt a spark of anger. If he's actively ignoring the restraining order, I want to know, Nick reassured him. Don't worry, I got eyes on the gym scene. If he sets foot near you or Heather, I'll let you know. Though he tried to focus on rebuilding trust with Heather, Ryan couldn't shake the worry that Jason would pop back into their lives again like a snake slithering through tall grass. Marissa called Ryan on a crisp Saturday morning. Hey, how are you holding up? Better, Ryan answered honestly. I'm making progress. She let out a tremulous sigh. I'm finalizing my divorce with Jason. He hasn't responded to the settlement offer. My lawyer's confident we can default him if he refuses to show for court. Ryan's brows lifted. You think he'll skip out? Marissa hesitated. He might. He's arrogant enough to think he can outrun this, but that would only make it worse for him. Good, Ryan said bluntly. He deserves worse. She exhaled. I agree. Anyway, I just wanted to say thank you. Without your help, I wouldn't have had the courage or evidence to stand up to him. Ryan felt a surge of empathy. We helped each other. I'm glad you're getting free of him. They parted on a hopeful note. It was surreal forging a bond with Marissa through mutual betrayal and revenge. But in this twisted situation, they'd found solidarity. Heather began making subtle changes around the house, removing framed photos of her and Jason at the gym, ones Ryan never knew existed, and clearing out any remnants of her old fling. She even rearranged the master bedroom, hoping the fresh look might ease memories of the times she'd secretly texted Jason from that bed. Ryan noticed her efforts one evening after they discussed mundane bills and errands. Heather quietly admitted, I'm trying to make this home feel safe again for you, for both of us. He appreciated the gesture. Thank you, he said softly. It does help. They still slept in separate rooms for now, but the atmosphere was less icy, no longer thick, with immediate distrust, though the wound was far from healed. A week passed without any sign of Jason. Then one afternoon, Ryan heard the doorbell ring through the people. He spotted a stern-looking woman in a pencil skirt holding a briefcase. He opened the door cautiously. Yes, she flashed a business card. My name is Angela Perez. I'm a private investigator hired by Mr. Jason Carter's attorney. Ryan's pulse quickened. What do you want? She offered a measured smile. Just some routine questions about the altercation between you and Mr. Carter. I'd like to speak with you and your wife, Heather. Hearing voices emerged from the living room. She froze at the threshold. Angela continued. Mr. Carter claims there was a misunderstanding, that you entrapped him and used pepper spray without provocation. I'm gathering statements. Ryan's face darkened. Jason attacked me first. We have a restraining order. He's not supposed to have contact. Angela nodded smoothly. I'm just doing my job. If you refuse to cooperate, that's your right. But your refusal will go into my report. Heather, fists clenched, spoke up. We have an audio recording. Jason threatened to blackmail Ryan and me. There's no misunderstanding. Angela took a polite step back. Perhaps we'll let the courts decide. Here's my card if you change your mind. She handed over a crisp white card and departed without further argument. Heather glared after her. He's really grasping at straws now. Sending a PI. Ryan sighed. Let him try. He'll dig himself deeper. Days later, Ryan and Heather arrived at the county courthouse for Jason's pretrial hearing on assault and blackmail charges. Marissa was there, too, seated on a wooden bench in the hallway, her lawyer by her side as the hearing began. Jason's attorney attempted to paint Ryan as an aggressor who ambushed Jason, citing alleged doctoring of the audio. But the prosecutor hammered back, presenting phone records, text messages, the unedited recording. Heather took the stand briefly, voice unsteady but firm, confirming Jason threatened them both and had a history of manipulative behavior. She recounted the night he forced her to abandon her car. Jason, sitting at the defense table, glowered at Heather with undisguised hate. Marissa sat behind the prosecutor, arms folded, unwavering. Finally, the judge denied Jason's request to dismiss charges. A full trial date was set. Jason stormed out of the courtroom, ignoring the calls of his own lawyer. Outside, Marissa approached Ryan and Heather. He's furious. Be careful. Ryan's expression was resolute. We will. He can't do much with the restraining order in place, and after the full trial, he might be locked up. Heather took a trembling breath. He's done enough damage that evening. Back at their house, Ryan found Heather sitting at the dining table, staring at a half-finished dinner. She pushed the plate away, tears sliding down her cheeks. He approached quietly, resting a hand on the chair. Heather, what's wrong? She shook her head, tears falling freely now. I've just been thinking. Everything I did set this whole nightmare in motion. The guilt is choking me. Even if Jason is responsible for his own actions, I played a part. I let him in. Ryan's chest tightened. Yeah, he admitted gently. You did, but you've been trying to make amends. She looked up, eyes raw. Is it enough? Will you ever look at me the same way again? He sighed heavily. I don't know, honestly. But I'm not shutting the door on us. That's something. A shaky smile broke across her face. It is. And that's all I can ask for. For a moment they just breathed. The house, quiet around them. Step by step they were walking a razor's edge between healing and heartbreak. In the following weeks leading up to Jason's trial, a surprising lull settled over Ryan and Heather's life. No new confrontations, no new threats. The private investigator never returned. Jason's lawyers must have realized the blackmail angle was a dead end. Heather continued seeing a therapist to unpack her guilt and to address why she'd strayed in the first place. Sometimes she'd gently invite Ryan to join a session, though he wasn't quite ready yet. Meanwhile, Ryan still maintained the temporary apartment, but found himself spending more nights at the house. One Friday evening, he glanced around, noticing he'd brought several suits back to the bedroom closet. It felt oddly right. Nick and Lucy extended an invitation for a small dinner at their place, wanting to celebrate that the tension had eased. They prepared a cozy meal, complete with a bottle of red wine. Heather seemed nervous, stepping into Nick's living room, recalling how the last big gathering ended in public humiliation. But Lucy greeted her with a warm hug. I'm glad you're here, Lucy said softly, sincerity shining in her eyes. Over dinner, they spoke of lighter topics, movies, local events, future plans. A sense of normalcy touched the air. Occasionally, a glimpse of sadness flickered behind Ryan's gaze, but he kept it at bay as they sipped wine on the couch. Lucy found a moment to pull Ryan aside. You look calmer. Dare I say, happier? Ryan gave a slight nod. I am, or at least less angry. I've accepted that I can't undo what happened, but I can decide how to move forward. Lucy patted his arm gently. We're here for both of you, no matter what. The next day, Marissa called, her voice brimming with relief. Ryan, guess what? My divorce from Jason is officially done. He refused to contest it. The court granted me a settlement, small but fair. I'm free. A grin tugged at Ryan's lips. That's amazing news. Congratulations. She let out a watery laugh. Thank you. and about the trial for his assault charges. I'll testify if they need me, but otherwise I'm done letting him control my life. Ryan nodded, though she couldn't see it. Exactly. Move on. Find peace. You deserve it. Marissa paused. You too, Ryan. I hope you and Heather figure out the best path, whether it's together or separate. He murmured, we're getting there. They exchanged goodbyes, a sense of closure wrapping around their odd alliance. One afternoon, Ryan found Heather in the garage, sorting through old boxes of shared memories, photos, postcards, keepsakes from vacations. She picked up a framed picture of them at a beach resort, smiling in the sunset. I wonder if we can get back to that, she whispered. Ryan swallowed hard, stepping closer. That was the best trip, he said quietly. We were unstoppable. She looked up. We can't erase the pain, but maybe we can build something new. He hesitated, emotions swirling. It won't be like before, but maybe that's okay. They didn't kiss or embrace dramatically, but there was a mutual understanding. The path was still uncertain, but a cautious hope shimmered. At last, Jason's trial date arrived. Ryan and Heather, dressed in summer attire, taking a quiet drive to the courthouse. Marissa sat with them in the waiting area. Face resolute, Jason entered with his lawyer, wearing a cheap suit, looking hollowed. His once cocky swagger had faded. He caught sight of them, gave a sneer, but said nothing. The trial began with opening statements. The prosecution laid out the audio recording texts and sworn affidavits. Jason's lawyer tried to claim it was all orchestrated or mutually aggressive, but the evidence told a damning story of threats, blackmail, and an assault in the warehouse. When Ryan took the stand, his voice was clear, recounting the night in the warehouse. He played a segment of the audio for the courtroom, the tinny echo of Jason saying, "I'll destroy Heather's name if you don't back off." The jury's reaction was telling. Uneasy frowns, a few glances at Jason. Jason's lawyer attempted to poke holes. "Isn't it true you went there armed with pepper spray, anticipating violence?" Ryan held the lawyer's gaze. "I went there because Jason summoned me with a threat. I carried non-lethal protection in case he got violent, which he did." The lawyer floundered. Heather was next. She recounted Jason's intimidation, referencing the night she abandoned her car. She looked near tears but held steady. Prosecutor, did Jason ever physically harm you? Heather, he grabbed me once, tried to keep me from leaving the car, but mostly it was verbal threats, emotional manipulation. Prosecutor, and did you see him threaten Ryan? Heather, yes, he told me he'd blackmailed both of us. Ruin my reputation if Ryan didn't comply with his demands. Jason's lawyer tried to undermine her credibility by bringing up her affair. You admitted to cheating on your husband with my client. Are you not simply blaming him to save face? Heather swallowed hard. Yes, I cheated. I regret it every day, but that doesn't change what Jason did. I ended our affair and he wouldn't let it go. Her raw honesty rang through the courtroom. The prosecution hammered Jason's pattern of manipulation, how he exploited married women, blackmailed them, and attacked Ryan. Jason's defense tried to paint it as a misunderstanding fueled by jealousy and animosity, but the recordings and the protective order overshadowed any flimsy argument. The judge gave final instructions. The jury retired to deliberate. Ryan, Heather, and Marissa sat outside in a tense hush. Nick and Lucy dropped by for moral support. After a few hours, the jury returned. Ryan's heart pounded as they filed in. The four-person stood reading the verdict. Jason was found guilty on the charge of attempted blackmail and guilty on the assault charge. A ripple of subdued relief passed through the courtroom. Jason visibly paled, his shoulders slumping. The judge set a sentencing date, warning Jason to remain in custody. His lawyer's face was grim. Heather closed her eyes, letting out a shaking exhale. Ryan gently touched her arm, their eyes meeting in a moment of shared relief. Marissa pressed her lips together, tears shining. Finally, it was over in the parking lot. Nick clapped Ryan on the back. "You did it, man. He's done." Ryan let out a trembling laugh. "We did it, finally." Marissa gave a small, grateful smile. "Now I can truly move on. No more nightmares." Heather, Step toward Ryan and maybe we can too, she whispered, voice hopeful. He pulled in a breath, looking around at the clear sky. Yeah, we'll see. As they all parted ways, a quiet sense of triumph mingled with the echoes of heartbreak. Jason had lost everything he'd schemed for, and the justice system had recognized the truth. Now Ryan and Heather stood on the edge of a new chapter, free from Jason's shadow. In the weeks after the verdict, the entire ordeal felt like a distant storm that had finally passed. The emotional wreckage still needed clearing, but at least the threat was gone. Ryan found himself closing the door on his temporary apartment. He'd paid out the last month, but no longer slept there. He spent most nights at the house, though still occasionally on the couch. Heather quietly respected his boundaries. She didn't push for immediate romance, focusing instead on rebuilding trust. Day by day one Friday, Heather's parents drove in from out of town. They invited Ryan and Heather to dinner at a quaint Italian restaurant. Heather was visibly nervous. She knew her parents were disappointed, but also relieved that the crisis was resolved over plates of pasta and garlic bread. Her father broke the ice. Ryan, I want to say we're sorry for everything you've endured. Heather told us the basics. We know how painful this must have been. Ryan set his fork down, nodding slowly. Thank you for understanding. It's been tough, but we're working through it. Heather's mother reached for Heather's hand. We're proud you stood up to that man who was threatening you, and we appreciate that. Ryan's willing to give you a chance. Heather's eyes flicked to Ryan, gratitude brimming. I still have a lot to make up for, she said softly. Ryan took a sip of water. We'll handle it together as best we can. And for the first time in a long while, a sense of warmth settled over them as they shared a meal not marred by suspicion or bitterness. Over the next days, an unspoken closeness began to rekindle. Ryan caught Heather humming in the kitchen one morning, wearing an old t-shirt of his. The sight stirred memories of better times. He joined her, stepping behind gently. She tensed, unsure, but relaxed when he slipped an arm around her waist. Just for a moment. Hey, he murmured. She turned, heart fluttering in her eyes. Hi. No dramatic love scene followed, only a tender hush. The electricity of their old affection flickered beneath the surface, ready to be nurtured if they both dared. Marissa messaged Ryan. Jason's sentencing is next week. I'm planning to attend, just for closure. You're going? Ryan thought about it. Yes. I want that closure to Heather. Reading over his shoulder, nodded. I should go as well if it's okay. Ryan paused, then agreed. Yes, it's partly your story, too. The day arrived in the courtroom. The judge examined the pre-sentencing reports. Jason stood between two officers, looking defeated. He wore a wrinkled dress shirt, hair unkempt. The judge outlined Jason's crimes: blackmail, threats, assault on Ryan, repeated harassment. The defense tried to argue for leniency, claiming stress and emotional turmoil. The prosecutor shot back, citing the multiple victims and manipulative behavior. Finally, the judge pronounced the sentence. Jason would serve 1 year in county jail for the assault and blackmail attempt, plus mandatory counseling and an extended restraining order. Once released, Marissa closed her eyes in relief. Ryan exhaled quietly. Heather bit her lip, feeling an odd mix of pity and vindication as they filed out. Jason was escorted away in handcuffs. He didn't even look at them. Maybe shame finally weighed him down outside. Marissa leaned on a pillar, tears rolling silently. I didn't think I'd cry, but it's just so final. Ryan nodded, placing a hand on her shoulder. It's okay. You invested years of your life in him. She sniffled. Yeah, a big mistake, but at least now I can rebuild. Heather offered a subdued half smile. We can all move on, I hope. Marissa agreed. Yes, you too. You have a chance to fix what was broken. I'm rooting for you. They exchanged warm goodbyes, a final sense of closure binding them that night. Ryan and Heather sat on the living room couch, the same spot that once felt so alienating. Now, though, the tension was replaced by a trembling hush of possibility. Heather curled her knees under her, gazing at Ryan with a vulnerable light in her eyes. He's really gone now. We don't have to look over our shoulders anymore. Ryan nodded. Drew, no more lingering threats. She looked, her lips voice shaking. So what about us? Are we going to finalize the divorce or try? He reached for her hand, his heart pounding. I thought about it every day. Part of me wanted to end things. The moment you betrayed me, another part, maybe the stronger part, kept remembering who we were before everything went wrong. Tears formed in her eyes. Do you still love me? He swallowed, searching her face. I'll always care about you, Heather. Love is complicated. But yeah, I believe we can find our way back. It won't be easy. I need time to trust again. She nodded fervently. I understand. I'll give you all the time you need, and I'll be here trying to be the partner you deserve. A tentative warmth flooded Ryan's chest. It wasn't the all-consuming passion of early love, but it was something real, fragile, and worth nurturing. A week later, at Heather's gentle urging, Ryan joined her for a couples therapy session, something he'd long resisted. They sat on a comfortable sofa in a small office with pastel walls. A licensed counselor named Grace listening attentively. Grace smiled kindly. I understand you both have been through a traumatic ordeal involving infidelity and outside threats. The question is, how do we rebuild your emotional bond? Ryan spoke first, surprising himself with the honesty. We lost trust, but I see how she's changed, how remorseful she is. I'm just scared to get hurt again. Heather squeezed his hand, and I'm afraid I won't ever convince him. I'm not going to slip up, but I'm determined. Grace nodded, guiding them through exercises in communication, discussing triggers and boundaries. By the end of the session, they felt both exhausted and hopeful, like they'd taken the first real step toward genuine healing. One quiet evening, Ryan found Heather in the backyard, watering the small herb garden they'd planted together years ago. He strolled out, noticing how the dusk light framed her figure. She smiled softly at him. Remember how proud you were when these herbs actually survived our careless watering routine? He chuckled, stepping closer. I do. We once made fresh pesto from these leaves. It was the best meal we cooked together. Heather set down the watering can. We could do that again sometime. A moment of stillness. Then Ryan, on an impulse, leaned in and brushed his lips against hers. Just a tender, cautious kiss. She froze in surprise before responding gently. It was like tasting memories of a life they'd nearly lost, but might still reclaim when they pulled apart. Her eyes shone with tears. Thank you, she whispered. He stroked her cheek. No matter how hard it gets, I want to at least try. We owe ourselves that. Over the next few weeks, they let themselves be a couple again. Tentatively, the separation agreement remained in place as a safeguard, but each day, trust slowly rebuilt. They laughed, sometimes shared old inside jokes, and approached daily life with a newfound respect for transparency. Heather no longer locked her phone or hid her whereabouts. Ryan, though still cautious, began relaxing the defensive walls around his heart. The house felt warmer, not haunted by secrets. Of course, the memory of betrayal lingered, but it no longer defined them. As they stood side by side preparing dinner in the kitchen, Ryan chopping vegetables, Heather stirring a simmering sauce, they shared a gentle smile, mindful of how far they'd come. They weren't fixed, not by a long shot, but they were healing. Months slid by, the legal dust had settled. Jason was serving time, Marissa had fully moved on, and the scandal that once rocked Ryan's life had faded into local gossip history. Ryan and Heather continued therapy. The counselor's guidance helped them navigate honest discussions about intimacy, communication, and shared goals. Slowly, they rediscovered parts of each other that had been buried beneath resentment. Ryan resumed full focus at his tech firm, reclaiming the promising career track he'd momentarily paused. His colleagues noticed he seemed calmer, more grounded, though a few longtime friends saw the faint shadows of pain behind his eyes. Heather picked up her freelance interior design projects again, building trust with clients who once whispered about her personal drama. She was open with Ryan about her schedule, occasionally inviting him to see her design progress. A year had passed since the fateful Halloween party, an anniversary that loomed in both their minds. Instead of letting it be a day of sorrow, Heather proposed an idea. She found Ryan in the kitchen one morning, sipping coffee. Nervously, she cleared her throat. "So that big Halloween party is coming around again. Nick and Lucy are hosting. Asked if we'd come, but I know it holds some heavy memories." Ryan's face tensed. "Yeah, you can say that." She stepped closer. "What if we made new memories? We don't have to dress as Catwoman and Phantom. Maybe something silly like Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein. We can reclaim that night." He studied her earnest expression. "You really want to face that scene again?" Heather shrugged, half smiling. "I want to show everyone we survived, that we're together and trying to move forward." Ryan set down his mug, processing. Then he gave a slow, thoughtful nod. "All right, let's do it. But no catsuits," he teased. Heather let out a relieved laugh, eyes shining with gratitude. "Deal." On Halloween night, they arrived at Nick's home. This time, the decor was even more extravagant: smoke machines, giant inflatable monsters, and a DJ blasting upbeat tunes. Ryan, dressed as Frankenstein's monster, had a blocky foam forehead and green face paint. Heather wore a whimsical bride costume with streaked hair. They entered arm in arm, nerves thrumming. Lucy squealed, hugging them both. "You look amazing. Thank you for coming. I know this must be emotional." Ryan exchanged a glance with Heather. "We decided to own it," he said simply. Nick clapped Ryan's shoulder. "Proud of you, man. Let's have a good time. No drama this year, promise." As they circulated the same living room where Ryan once punched Jason, now filled with cheerful guests dancing to a silly pop remix, Heather teased Ryan about his stiff Frankenstein walk, and he hammed it up for comedic effect, drawing giggles from onlookers. They sipped drinks, chatted with neighbors, accepted compliments on their costumes. Everywhere, they felt a tangible shift. No more whispered pity, no more pointed looks. People treated them as a couple. Again, not a spectacle. Later that night, as the party wound down, they slipped out to the front porch for fresh air. Heather inhaled the crisp autumn scent, leaning against the railing. Ryan stood beside her, gazing at the neighborhood lights. "It's crazy how different this feels from last year," he mused. Heather nodded, swallowing hard. "I'm so thankful we got here." She hesitated, then quietly added, "Sometimes I still wake up in the night. I'm terrified you're gone or that I've ruined everything forever. But then I remember how you stayed." Ryan's eyes softened. "I stayed because you showed me real remorse and commitment to change. It's not perfect, but you've proven you want us to work." She blinked back tears. "I do, more than anything." He gently reached for her hand. "Then let's keep moving forward." Day by day in therapy that following week, Grace encouraged them to consider a symbolic fresh start, perhaps a short getaway or some gesture to signify turning the page. They chose a weekend trip to a scenic cabin by a lake a few hours away. No elaborate itinerary, just time together, unplugged over a crackling fireplace. They reminisced about their first dates, their little jokes, how they once got lost on a hiking trail and found a hidden waterfall. They cooked simple meals and watched the sun set in companionable silence. One evening, wrapped in blankets on the porch, Heather quietly said, "I know we can't erase the past, but can we keep building something better?" Ryan slipped an arm around her shoulders. "Yes, as long as we're honest with each other, I believe we can." Returning from the cabin, they met again with Jennifer Brooks. Ryan had set this meeting to make a final decision about the separation agreement. Jennifer greeted them warmly. "So how are things?" Heather glanced at Ryan, who nodded. She spoke first. "We've decided we don't want a divorce. We want to revoke the separation agreement and continue therapy together." Jennifer smiled. "That's wonderful news. As your attorney, I'll do whatever you instruct." "Are you sure?" Ryan nodded firmly. "Yes, we both want this." Heather gripped his hand. "We'll still be careful, keep open communication, and if anything changes, we know our options. But for now, we're choosing to stay married." Jennifer made a note. "I'm happy for you." Before closing that chapter of their lives for good, Ryan and Heather decided to visit Marissa, someone who had walked a parallel path of hurt. Marissa greeted them at her modest but cozy new apartment. She was wearing yoga pants and a relaxed hoodie, hair tied back. "You two look good," she said, genuinely pleased. Heather mustered a soft smile. "We wanted to thank you. Without your help against Jason, we might still be living under his threats." Marissa waved it off. "We all helped each other. Anyway, how's married life now?" Ryan exchanged a look with Heather, a gentle warmth passing between them. "Still working on it, but we've decided to stay together." Marissa beamed. "I'm glad you overcame so much. Keep at it." They chatted over tea. Reflecting on the twisted journey, Marissa planned to expand her yoga instruction. "Maybe open a small studio." Heather offered to help design the space when the time came. As they parted, there was a mutual sense of peace, a final loosening of the knots that once bound them in betrayal and bitterness. Time flowed on. Ryan and Heather found a new rhythm, one anchored by deeper communication. They'd slip up, sometimes old wounds flaring, but they handled arguments with honesty instead of hiding. On a mild spring afternoon, they lounged in the backyard. The herbs in their small garden had flourished again. Basil, rosemary, mint. Heather snipped a few leaves, handing them to Ryan. He grinned, ready to attempt that homemade pesto again. She laughed softly, leaning in to kiss his cheek. "Absolutely. Let's do it right this time." And in that quiet moment, surrounded by the gentle hum of life going on, they realized they had something new and precious. A marriage forged through fire, tested by betrayal and revenge, but still standing stronger in its fragile renewal. They had no illusions that everything was magically perfect. Yet each day they woke up choosing to believe in the possibility of healing. Cheating had fractured them, but it hadn't destroyed them. And as they prepared dinner in a house free of lies, they savored the small victories that came from fighting for each other in the aftermath of unimaginable hurt. Because in the end, the best revenge on betrayal was to find joy and strength beyond it together. I am Lady Truth, and I hope you enjoyed that cheat. More stories to come, and I will talk to you in the next one.